5 ways to increase your happiness. Do you find yourself constantly chasing after happiness? And whenever you think you've finally got a good grip on it, it slips through your fingers like sand and you're left feeling miserable again? Why is that? Well, here's the thing that no one tells you. Humans aren't designed to experience lasting happiness. In fact, your brain prefers and seeks out negativity rather than positivity. So does that mean it's not possible to be happy? No, not at all. In fact, anyone can live a happier life, but it just involves taking a different perspective than what you're usually used to. Interested in finding out more? Well, be sure to keep watching. Hello and welcome to MedTouch, the best place to find the right medical information. As human beings, we often assume that if we aren't happy all the time, then there's something seriously wrong with us, that we're abnormal or defective. But that's simply not true. In fact, if you're not happy 24/7, then you're completely normal. This is because, like all of your emotions, happiness comes and goes. It doesn't stick around forever. If it did, you most certainly wouldn't be alive right now. So despite this fact, how can we be happier people? Well, keep watching, because today we're going to teach you 5 ways that you can use to increase your happiness and live a happier life. Tip 1. Accept the fact that happiness is not permanent. As previously mentioned, the human brain is not designed to endure ongoing happiness. This is, in fact, an evolutionary response known as negativity bias, and the evidence goes all the way back to our cave people days. Life during the Stone Age was dangerous, really dangerous. So in order to survive, your ancestors had to be on constant alert for things that could potentially cause them harm, be it a bear looking for its next meal or a thunderstorm brewing off in the distance. Whatever it was, they needed to be ready to either run for the hills or fight for their life. If they failed to acknowledge, predict, or spot any potential threats or sources of danger, well, I'm sure you can imagine how severe the consequences were. So, due to this hyper-focus on survival, the pursuit of happiness was never part of the equation. That's not to say that your ancestors didn't experience happiness at all, but the happiness or pleasure that came from things such as warmth, food, sex, and social bonding was short-lived. It had to be in order for them to survive. Just think, if your ancestors were happy and blissful all the time, you wouldn't be here today watching this video. So that's why the first step in living a happier life is to simply accept the fact that happiness, like any other emotion, is designed to come and go. It's normal to not be happy 24/7. Appreciate the things in life that bring you joy and incorporate more of it into your life. Just like our ancestors enjoyed warmth, a cool breeze on a summer day, good food, sex, or social bonding and get-togethers. Remember, just because happiness is short-lived, it doesn't mean you can't fill your life with it. Just don't become obsessed with it. Tip 2. Focus on the present. As we've established, the caveman brain is really good at being negative. And in particular, one of its specialities is ruminating over negative events that happened in the past. As cavemen, this would have been necessary for survival. For example, after surviving an encounter with a deadly predator, it would have been useful for our ancestors to replay the event over and over in their head in order to examine what they did wrong, what they did right, and how they could better prepare for next time. In fact, constantly thinking about negative events would have greatly increased their chance of survival. In modern times, we don't need to be constantly thinking about our past experiences, yet we still do. We continuously ruminate over events that caused us to feel vulnerable, embarrassed, or hurt. And even though these events happened ages ago, and any potential life lessons have already been well and truly learnt, we still spend a lot of our time stuck in the past and reliving our pain. The focus on the past fuels our negative brains and keeps us stuck in an ongoing cycle of unhappiness. So how can we break this cycle and increase our happiness? Well, firstly, we need to take our attention away from the past and instead focus on the present. One of the most effective ways to do this is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us to become more fully aware of what's happening both around us and inside of us. Anyone can learn mindfulness, and it only takes a few minutes a day. For example, let's try a quick mindful breathing exercise. Start by breathing in and out slowly. Don't change your breathing, just focus on it. Purposefully watch your breath effortlessly enter and leave your body, reminding you are well and alive. Let's do a mindful observation too. Simply pick an object, notice and appreciate it. Pretend you are an alien who has landed on Earth and you're seeing this object for the first time. Don't do anything more, just notice it, connect with it, and appreciate its purpose within the natural world. Just simply being present in the moment, you will help yourself connect more positively with the world around you. Whilst this does take some practice, the payoff will be totally worth it. In fact, research has shown that by regularly practicing mindfulness, you can actually improve the areas of your brain that are associated with compassion and self-awareness. Tip 3. Make time for things that bring you joy. Here's something to consider. If happiness is what we all yearn for, then why do so few of us choose to do things that bring us joy? Even our caveman ancestors found time between fighting off predators and overcoming life-threatening dangers to engage in activities that brought them happiness. For example, after a long day of hunting and being on high alert, they'd unwind by sitting around the fire and socializing with their group. Today, we spend all day at school or work, then we get home and distract ourselves by turning on the TV and mindlessly scrolling through 4 different social media apps. We believe that these things will provide us with the happiness and satisfaction that we seek, but all they really do is take our mind away from how we really feel. And when this distraction isn't enough, we turn to quick fixes, such as spending money, binge eating, drugs, and alcohol. Sadly, none of these activities actually make us feel any better, and in fact, they only make us feel worse. So to boost your happiness and break away from the cycle of negativity, you need to prioritize time for meaningful activities that are beneficial to your well-being. Start by writing down a list of things that bring you joy. Better yet, challenge yourself to write down at least 100 things that make you smile. This may seem like a lot, but by focusing on all the things that make you feel happy, you'll feel more inspired to include them in your life. Keep your list somewhere safe so you can easily access it whenever you're feeling unhappy. Remember, you don't have to do anything life-changing, just small things such as calling a friend, dancing to your favorite music, or learning a new hobby will have a positive impact on your well-being. This is because by continuously shifting your attention to things that bring you joy, your brain starts to produce more happy chemicals that significantly boost your mood and leave you feeling more excited and optimistic about life. So, what are you waiting for? Happiness is always available to you, and you deserve it. No more excuses. Tip 4. Break the cycle of loneliness. Humans are deeply social creatures, so much so that our brains have specific biological functions that motivate us to seek out social connectedness. This is because humans evolved by relying on others for survival. Your ancestors used to live in groups their whole lives, and they relied heavily on their group for food, safety, warmth, and to produce offspring. In fact, your ancestors' greatest fear wasn't being eaten alive by a predator, it was being rejected or shunned from their group. It was impossible for them to survive in the wilderness alone, so being shunned was practically a death sentence. So, to ensure that didn't happen, your brain began reacting to rejection and social isolation by producing chemicals that cause feelings of deep emotional pain. For your ancestors, this was an early warning signal that they needed to change their behavior in order to avoid being kicked out of the group. Today, we recognize this deep emotional pain as loneliness. And just as hunger makes us eat food or thirst makes us drink water, loneliness makes us seek out social connectedness. However, when loneliness becomes chronic, it can cause an endless cycle of pain. When you experience constant rejection and isolation, your caveman brain interprets this as a threat, so it begins to view every social interaction in a negative light, which in turn causes you to avoid socializing with others in order to prevent enduring more pain. Yet this avoidance only makes you more alone and unhappy. This is why loneliness is one of the leading causes of depression and one of the biggest silent killers of modern day society. So what can you do to break the cycle of loneliness? Well, you firstly need to recognize that loneliness is a normal biological function. Every single one of us experiences it, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Secondly, try to shift your attention to the positive aspects of socializing. Grab a pen and write down what you find most enjoyable about spending time with others. Do you enjoy simply having someone to share your day with? Or do you perhaps enjoy the thrill of spontaneous activities? Keep your focus on the things that you find most rewarding. Next, think of ways that you can change your behavior towards others. For example, is there a friend who you haven't spoken to for a while? Why not send them a text or see how they're going? Try reaching out to others who share your interests. Join an online group or attend your local sports club or trivia night. The more you put yourself out there, the easier it will be to form connections with other like-minded people. And once you've made new connections, continue to build and develop meaningful relationships. The more time you spend connecting with others, the happier you'll feel. Tip 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. When was the last time you compared yourself to someone else? Let's be honest, it was probably fairly recently. Perhaps it was this morning when you enviously scrolled past an Instagram photo of a celebrity flaunting their new top-of-the-line sports car. Or perhaps you felt embarrassed when your overachieving classmate asked you what score you received on the class test. Like all of our other tips today, the act of self-comparison is a behavior deeply rooted in our caveman brain. As you know, the caveman's greatest fear was being shunned or rejected from their group. So to avoid this, it was necessary to regularly compare themselves to their fellow group members by asking questions such as, am I doing enough to fit in? Am I contributing enough? Is there something I can do better? Does my group accept me? This level of comparison was necessary to ensure survival, not only as individuals, but as a group too. Today, we no longer need to compare ourselves to others in order to survive, but our caveman brain still does it. In fact, we no longer simply compare ourselves to others, we criticize, harshly. And when our expectations fall short, we beat ourselves up and bring ourselves down. We see our shortcomings as failures, which leaves us feeling sad and insecure. So, to help cheer ourselves up, we attempt to fix, change, or buy what we lack. And sure, we may feel satisfied for a little while, but it never lasts. Because there's always someone more attractive than us, richer than us, or more successful than us. And thanks to the introduction of social media, self-comparison has become a toxic habit. So to increase our happiness, it makes sense that we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. This isn't an easy task, given that half the time we're not even aware we're doing it until that overwhelming sense of sadness hits us. But like any bad habit, through continuous practice, you can change your behavior. Here's a tip you can try. Write down all the things about yourself that you love and keep the list in the Notes app on your phone. This way, you have easy access to it. So the next time you find yourself comparing yourself to others on social media, close that app, open your notes, read your list, and put your focus on all of your own great qualities instead. Instead of comparing yourself to others, be your own inspiration. By regularly practicing self-love and being kinder to yourself, you'll find yourself feeling much, much happier. So there you have it, 5 ways to increase your happiness and live a more joyful life. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, leave us a comment, and turn on that notification bell so we can stay in touch.